The original title of this video was going to be something like, Kira was never going to win. And it was meant to be an analysis of how Kira actually lost the very moment he killed Lindell Taylor. And everything that followed was just a domino effect set off by that single decision. But as I rewatched the series to dig into the topic, I realized that this wasn't even close to being Light's only mistake. In fact, the number of errors he made throughout the story and the sheer amount of lucky breaks he got without even noticing what was going on is so ridiculous that it's actually a miracle he wasn't caught sooner. I mean, honestly, this poor idiot was only one step away from wearing a neon sign that said, "I am Kira." With that in mind, we're kicking off a new section on the channel titled, "This Character is an Idiot." Here, we're not going to talk about characters who are explicitly dumb, but about those the author tries to paint as absolute masterminds. And when you actually analyze what they do, though, you're going to see that they're nothing else but fools with more luck than brains. The only reason they ever seemed smart was because they were surrounded by people who were just as dumb as them, or even dumber. Oh, and just to make it clear, this video isn't about questioning Light's morality or debating whether what he did was good or evil. We're only here to criticize the decisions he made to supposedly defeat his enemies, which turned out to be the very same decisions that actually led to his downfall. And yes, Kira's actions did make the world a better place. And that's not just an opinion, that's a fact that's been confirmed by the manga. And it's not exactly rocket science either. Cut off the head and the problem dies with it. But just because Light was right doesn't make him any less of an idiot. So, let's dig into his first screw-up. Kira has been murdering for a while now, and the world is starting to suspect that what they're dealing with is a serial killer. Then, one day, a guy named Lindell Taylor shows up on TV saying that he's going to arrest Kira. And at that point, it's literally impossible for anyone to figure out who's responsible. There's just no way, since there isn't a single lead to follow. If Light had just turned off the TV and just kept killing criminals, they never would have caught him, because no one would have even had a reason to suspect him. But unfortunately, Light's glass ego is so fragile that it shattered as soon as Lindell Taylor dared to say that what he was doing was wrong. And in a fit of rage, he killed a man who, as far as Light knew, hadn't done anything wrong and posed absolutely zero threat to him, as admitted by Light himself. But for this lunatic, being questioned was just as bad as being a terrorist. The result of that brilliant decision? L narrowed down the list of suspects from literally anyone on the planet, possibly even a divine force, to a single resident of the Kanto region in Japan who was most likely a student or a teacher, and on top of that, was spoiled and whiny. Bravo, Light! Your small dick complex just helped shrink the suspect list by 99%. And you'd think the idiot would learn his lesson and cool off, but nope. Light is so dumb that only a few days later he makes the exact same mistake again. He logs into his dad's computer and sees that L is already speculating it's a student, since the killings happen during times when there are no classes. And in his infinite stupidity, barely 5 minutes after L makes that deduction, Light casually starts killing at different times. Yeah, sure, honey. I'm certain L won't notice that huge coincidence. I mean, really? Oh no, nothing suspicious here. As a result, L narrows the suspect pool of every student and teacher in the region down to only those who could have access to police information. And the worst part is that in the festering sewer that is Light's brain, this was a master plan, because apparently he deliberately let the police know that he had access to their files so they would distrust L, and that way he could weaken his stance? Look, buddy, your goal is to eliminate the world's criminals. L has no fucking clue who you are or how you commit the murders. All you had to do to avoid being caught was ignore him. And never, no matter how much he looks, will he find something that could incriminate you. So, why the hell would you help narrow down the suspect list just to poke him a little? Even though it didn't do anything, especially since they only let him filter out the agents he didn't trust. Oh, right, because Elle insulted him on a Discord call. Clearly that's reason enough to risk your whole plan and your life just to insult him back. The smartest student in Japan, ladies and gentlemen. But hey, maybe Light didn't care how small the suspect list got. After all, the death note is something supernatural, and even if he was the only suspect, they'd never find evidence proving he was the killer. I mean, how could Elle even consider the existence of such a being? Oh, wait, it was precisely Light himself who told Elle about this Shinigami. Can someone please explain to me why Light was being such a moron that he sent those notes hinting at supernatural beings? If you wanted to troll Elle, you could have simply hit him with a "your mom is fat" joke or sent him a doodle of a dick and then called it a day. But no, one brain cell Light goes and says, "Hey bro, did you know Shinigami exist?" Seriously, how did this shit brain take so long to get caught? Oh, I know, because the script saves him every time he's about to get his ass kicked. Ryuk, who shows up claiming he's just an observer and that under no circumstances will he be helping Light, ends up not giving a damn about the Shinigami rules and warns him that an FBI agent is tailing him. Which, by the way, you should have guessed, considering you'd already taken care of shrinking the suspect list down to about 50 people. But chill, Light can still shrink that list even further. Let's see what our favorite mastermind does now that he knows he's being followed. A, play dumb because even if they follow him, they won't find anything that would incriminate him. Or B, kill the people following him in a public place infested with cameras where obviously they'd know Kira was responsible. This would then clearly narrow the suspect list of every Kanto student and teacher with police access down to the people who were following a single FBI agent. Bravo, Light! You might as well turn yourself in and save yourself the trouble, huh? Let's be real. Why are we wasting time? The funniest thing is that Ray Pember himself says he sees nothing suspicious about Light and he will stop surveilling him. In other words, if Light had just kept his head down, he would have been off the suspect list before Elle even looked his way. But no, Light was full throttle on getting himself caught. Except the manga was selling well, so they had to drag it out, and another divine intervention in the form of a plot twist showed up to save his butt. And no, I'm not talking about Ryuk finding the cameras for him. That can be bought as Light manipulating Ryuk by using his Apple addiction. But no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that they expect me to believe the crack squad of agents who installed completely undetectable cameras all over the house didn't take the chance to check the desks and discover that Light's desk had a drawer with a goddamn fake bottom rigged to an improvised explosive. I mean, you'd think that at the very least it should have raised some red flags for them. But no, don't believe that this is the only case of police incompetence. No. Let's talk about Naomi Masora. The woman deduces on her own everything that Kira is doing. Her deductions are even more on point than Elle's. But for some reason, she thinks it's a good idea to share this information with some random guy that she just met. And apparently it doesn't strike her as suspicious at all that this dude, whom she just ran into while about to submit her evidence to the police, is insanely persistent about finding out her name. It's just that he literally followed her down the street, asking what her name was like a stalker. I mean, come on, sweetheart. How could you fall for that after everything you'd already figured out? But don't let that distract you from the fact that once Light wrote her real name down, he casually tells her he's Kira, without even considering for a moment that this little nutcase who had figured everything out about him could just as easily had a hidden microphone in case anything went wrong. Fortunately for Light, though, that wasn't the case. But still, that confession was completely out of place, right? And well, I don't think I even need to remind you that Light ran into this woman purely by chance. He didn't even know she existed. And if the script hadn't helped him line up the exact day and time with the police visit, Light would have screwed himself before even meeting Elle. And the cherry on top is that when they find out about Masora's death and suspect she might have had information on the case, no one thinks about checking the police station cameras, which would have immediately shown the last person to see her alive was precisely Light Yagami. Seriously, the number of plot armors that bailed Light's butt here is just ridiculous, right? But enough about plot armors. Let's get back to the stupidity. It turns out that Light meets Misa, who has another death note, as well as Shinigami Eyes. He knows Misa's an airhead and that the cops are surely already suspicious of her. Well, one day he runs into her and Elle at the same time. Now, he knows that Misa has seen Elle's real name and could kill him, but he also knows it's no coincidence that Elle just happened to show up right there and then. Well, let's see, Light. Honey, sweet precious baby, calm down. Yes, relax. Elle is right there. Just like there are probably 50 other Moore agents, too. Don't rush into it. Give it some time so you don't raise suspicions. And then when the coast is clear, he calls her 5 seconds after they split up and right in front of Elle, who obviously had already swiped her phone. Congratulations, Light. You've unlocked the ultimate achievement. You narrowed down the list of suspects to only yourself. Now at this point, Elle was already absolutely certain Light was Kira. The only thing he was missing was physical evidence so that he could accuse him. And also, even if Light had managed to kill Elle, what did he think was going to happen afterwards? He knew that both he and Misa were already the prime suspects for being the two Kiras, and if Elle died right after running into the two of them, well, that would be case closed. In fact, plenty of times Light didn't kill Elle because he knew that there were moments when if he did, it would be obvious that he was responsible. And this was one of those moments. But Light's last two brain cells short-circuited, and, well, from that point on, Light's downfall was only a matter of time. No matter how many convoluted schemes he made up with, like erasing his memory or making up fake rules, he was already backed into a corner. All those screw-ups add up. What Light lacks in brains, though, he more than makes up for in sheer luck, because wouldn't you know it, he just so happens to get the dumbest, most gullible, and hence most easily manipulatable Shinigami of them all. This shitty character who wipes his butt with all the intervention rules exists solely to make sure Elle doesn't wreck Light. Because Light was already bent over, and when Elle was about to have his way with them, Rem decides to step in and save Light and Misa by killing Elle, even though that was forbidden and would lead to her own death. Bravo, Rem! You're an example of what not to do in life. But, well, Light, you already won. But watch it, because the investigation is still ongoing. Remember to keep a low profile and maybe, just maybe, get off Elle's grave, you idiot. It's been barely a minute since the funeral ended. All the other cops are at the entrance of the cemetery. What happens if someone comes back and sees you climbing around? What happens if they hear you yelling that you won? You can't be that dumb, for God's sake. But anyway, about 5 years pass by and the special task force has basically just been twiddling their thumbs because after Elle died, they didn't make progress on the case. The second part of Death Note is loathed by a lot of people, and I'm going to tell you why. Because Kira's luck ran out, and all this part is basically a highlight reel of Light getting humiliated by Elle's successors. First, Mello smacks him around while stealing the notebook. Then Nier calls him on Discord to mock him because of how badly he's failing. Then Light tries to kill Mello, but this one slips away, and even kills Light's dad, all while Ryuk once again breaks the no-intervention rule in order to stop the Shinigami Mello had. Afterwards, Nier starts turning his own team against him, and Light, seeing that he's backed into a corner because Elle did all the homework for these guys, comes up with his master plan to create a new Kira to act as bait so that he can trap Nier and eliminate everyone who knows about the notebook in one fell swoop. An absolutely perfect plan. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? Well, for starters, the way he chose who would get the notebook. You'd think that a prodigy mastermind like Light would pick someone brilliant who could carry the plan out without mistakes. Well, nope. Light picks Mikami, a guy he knows absolutely nothing about, and the only reason he chose him is because the guy was on TV kissing Kira's ass. Seriously, that was his evaluation criteria. Light, who thinks intelligence is measured by how much people agree with him, turns on the TV and says, "All right, let's see which one of these emotionally damaged fanboys is the biggest kiss ass." And that's how Mikami got picked, who, of course, screwed it up. And since there was no longer a Rem to save his life, well, now Light Yagami got taken out by Matsuda. Imagine, out of all the possible people, it turns out to be Matsuda who kills you? And well, we have to say it was Mello who first caused Light's plan to fail. So, if you think about it, in all 3 times Mello faced Kira, she screwed him over. So, Mello, Light's forever nemesis, and, well, that would be it. As you can see, Light is an idiot. Just to be clear, this isn't meant as a serious critique of Death Note, which I consider to be a masterpiece, but there's always that one oblivious fool who gets offended when you insult a cartoon. Anyway, tell me which other characters are painted as geniuses in a series, but who are actually, in reality, just screwing everything up, you'd like to see featured in a video like this in the future. I believe the next one will be Sasuke Uchiha, but let me know which other characters fit this category in your opinion. This would be it for now. I hope you enjoyed the video and that you didn't get too offended, and that you'll leave me your like and comment, and also subscribe to the channel and ring that bell notification. Also, remember to follow me on social media to stay in touch and all of that stuff. Shout out to everyone. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.